Last summer, I harvested just over 90 pounds of ripe tomatoes from 4 plants growing in a single raised bed. And the year before, with the exact same varieties in the same bed, I barely broke 30 pounds. The soil was the same, the seeds were the same, and the sun was the same. The only thing I changed was how I watered them, and this single change transformed a frustrating disaster full of splitting and blossom end rot into the best tomato harvest I had ever grown. Here is what will surprise you. The watering mistake that is almost certainly silently destroying your tomato harvest right now is not underwatering, nor is it overwatering. It is something much more specific, and once you see it, you will not be able to unsee it. Most home gardeners water their tomatoes every single day, a little at a time, and they think they are doing the right thing. They are not. They are slowly starving the plant, weakening the root system, and setting up almost every tomato problem you can name, from split skins to that ugly black spot on the bottom of the fruit. Today, I will show you exactly how I water my tomatoes now, the specific timing, depth, and frequency that turn ordinary plants into exceptional producers. And stick with me until the end, because I will share a buried bottle trick I learned from an old gardener that delivers water directly to the deep roots while you sleep. It costs almost nothing to set up and works in whatever bed or container you have. Let me take a step back and explain how I figured this out, because I did not get there by reading a book. I got there by doing it wrong for almost 15 years. For most of my gardening life, I watered my tomatoes the way my dad did and the way most people in my neighborhood still do. Every evening after dinner, I would go out with the hose, give each plant what seemed like a generous spray, and call it a day. The leaves looked green, the surface soil looked dark, and I thought I was being a responsible plant parent. Yet every single year by mid-July, I had the exact same problems. Blossom end rot on my romas, splitting skins on my better boys, leaves yellowing up the stems and plants that bloomed like crazy in June and then stalled out in August. I blamed the weather, I blamed the variety, and I blamed the soil. I bought calcium supplements and sprayed products, but none of it really worked. Then a few summers ago, I read some research from the University of California Cooperative Extension about tomato root depth and how the plant actually absorbs water. It completely changed the way I think. If you have been watering your tomatoes the way I did, I want you to hear me clearly. You are not doing it wrong. You are doing what almost everyone does. You just haven't been told the part that nobody talks about. Here is the part nobody talks about. A mature tomato plant, if grown right, can send roots down 2 to 3 feet into the soil. It is not a house plant. It is a deep-rooted, drought-tolerant fruiting plant that evolved in the arid valleys of South America. Its entire system is designed to seek out water deep down. But when you spray a little water on the surface every evening, you are training the roots to stay shallow right in the top 2 or 3 inches where the moisture is. Shallow roots cannot regulate water uptake the way deep roots can. They cannot absorb calcium efficiently, and they dry out as soon as the sun hits them. They turn your plant into a roller coaster, soaking wet at dawn and completely bone dry by noon the next day. That swing, that wet, dry cycle is the real killer. Blossom end rot is not a calcium deficiency in the soil. It is almost always a calcium delivery problem caused by inconsistent moisture. Split tomatoes are the same story. The fruit grows slowly during a dry spell. Then the plant gets a sudden gulp of water, and the fruit swells faster than the skin can stretch, causing it to split. After 3 seasons of testing, I can tell you the solution is not more water. It is the right water at the right depth with the right rhythm. Before you even pick up the hose, the first thing you need to do is stop guessing whether your tomato plant needs water. The top inch of soil tells you almost nothing because it dries out quickly in the sun, even when the soil 6 inches down is perfectly moist. So the very first habit I want you to develop is the finger test, but done correctly. Stick your index finger straight into the soil about 2 inches away from the main stem and push it down as far as you can, ideally to the second knuckle, which is about 3 or 4 inches. If the soil feels cool and slightly damp like a wrung-out sponge, you do not need to water. If it is dry and crumbly all the way down, it is time. If it is soggy and you can squeeze water out of it, You have already overdone it and need to hold off for a day or two. If you are growing in a container or a portable raised bed, you can also lift the pot. A well-watered container is heavy, while a dry one is light. Conventional advice says to water on a schedule, but what actually works is watering based on conditions. The schedule is just a reminder to check, not a command to soak. Now let me show you how to actually deliver the water once your finger tells you it is time. This is where most people go wrong, and it is the single biggest change you can make today. Stop watering a little and start watering a lot, less often. When I water a mature tomato plant in midsummer, I give it between 1 and 2 gallons per plant slowly, right at the base, every 3 to 5 days. Not a spray every evening, but a deep, deliberate soak 2 or maybe 3 times a week. When you pour a full gallon at the base of the plant slowly, the water has time to penetrate 12 to 18 inches into the soil, giving the deep roots a real drink. When the surface dries out a day or two later, the roots have to chase the moisture downward, which makes them deeper, stronger, and much more resilient. You are training the plant to be drought-resistant instead of drought-fragile. I use a regular garden hose with no nozzle, set it to a slow trickle, and place it right at the base of the plant for about 2 to 3 minutes. Just make sure the water goes to the soil, not the leaves. Wet leaves invite fungal diseases, especially early blight and septoria leaf spot, and water in the morning if you can, between 6 and 9 a.m. so the soil absorbs it before the heat of the day. Before we go any further, what I'm sharing with you today is one piece of a much larger approach to growing your own food without wasting money or effort. If you have enjoyed this so far, I have put together a complete guide called the 30-Day Kitchen Scrap Garden Protocol. It is a 171-page book that walks you through 31 regrowable crops. You can start from kitchen scraps, a $10 starter kit guide, zero-waste kitchen strategies, and full troubleshooting support. You can get it for $17 by scanning the QR code on your screen right now, or by clicking the link in the description below. Now that you are watering deeply and based on conditions, the next thing I want you to do is mulch. This is the single most impactful move I make every spring, and it is the difference between watering twice a week and watering 5 times a week. Once your tomato plants are about a foot tall and the soil has warmed up, lay down 2 to 3 inches of organic mulch like straw, shredded leaves, or grass clippings over the entire root zone. Keep the mulch about 2 inches away from the main stem to prevent crown rot. This reduces evaporation from the soil surface by up to 70%. It keeps the root zone cooler on hot days, suppresses weeds, and feeds the soil biology. Mulched plants need about half as much water and produce noticeably more fruit. You also need to adapt your approach to the changing seasons. In the first 3 or 4 weeks after transplanting, water more frequently, but still deeply, providing about half a gallon every 2 or 3 days. At the peak of summer, you will need to extend the cycle to 3 to 5 days using 1 to 2 gallons per plant. Beyond volume, you need to learn to read the plant itself. A slight afternoon wilt on a hot day is perfectly normal because the plant is simply conserving water. What you actually need to watch for is morning wilt. If the leaves are limp at 7 a.m., that is the plant telling you it ran out of water overnight. Conversely, if you see the lower leaves yellowing from the bottom up while the soil stays wet, that is a clear sign of overwatering. Once you understand how to read these signs, we need to completely break the 4 common patterns that silently destroy harvests. The first is daily evening watering, which keeps roots shallow and creates a dangerous swing between wet and dry. You fix this by watering deeply only 2 or 3 times a week. The second is overhead watering, where soaking the leaves invites every fungal disease in the neighborhood, an easily solvable problem by keeping the water strictly at ground level. The third pattern is watering on a fixed schedule, which ignores the fact that plants respond to soil moisture and weather rather than a calendar. You fix this by relying on the finger test instead. Finally, stop panicking after a dry spell. Giving the plant a sudden, desperate gulp of water is exactly what causes splitting and blossom and rot. So you need to fix this with steady consistency. Now for the bonus I promised you at the beginning. This is the trick that will change the way you water more than anything else. The buried bottle method. Take an empty 1-gallon plastic jug, like a milk jug or a vinegar jug. Poke 6 to 8 small holes about the size of a pencil tip all around the bottom third of the jug. Bury the jug right next to your tomato plant, about 6 to 8 inches from the main stem, with the neck and cap sticking out about an inch above the soil. Leave the cap off or loose. Now every time you water, instead of running the hose at the base of the plant, simply fill that jug. The water slowly seeps through those holes over several hours and goes directly to the deep root zone. No evaporation, no runoff, no wet leaves. You can fill a jug in 30 seconds and walk away. I use 2 jugs per plant for large indeterminate tomatoes and 1 jug for determinates. The first season I tried this, I cut my watering time by about half and experienced almost no blossom end rot. If you are ready to stop guessing and start growing the harvest you truly deserve, everything I have shared today is just the beginning. I have packed my complete system into the 30-day kitchen scrap garden protocol. It is 171 pages of tested, no-nonsense advice, and you can get it right now for just $17 by clicking the link in the description below. Also, leave a comment and let me know what the biggest tomato struggle you are facing this season is. I read every single comment, and if this video gave you an aha moment, share it with another gardener before they go out and water their plants tonight. Remember, water your tomatoes like the deep-rooted survivors they actually are. Soak them well, mulch them deeply, watch them closely, and trust the rhythm. That 90-pound harvest was not luck. It was just the right water, at the right depth, at the right time. Until next time, keep growing. If this story changed the way you look at the plants in your garden, please subscribe and like the channel. We are unearthing the secrets of the soil that many have tried to forget. Grow your future. The next garden treasure will be revealed very soon.